My dear friends, welcome to Rajashekar classes on ethical hacking. This is lecture number 30. In this lecture, we will try to understand Traceroute. When you connect with a website, the data you get must travel across multiple devices and networks along the way, particularly routers. A traceroute provides a map of how data on the internet travels from its source to its destination. What does traceroute do? A traceroute works by sending Internet Control Message Protocol ICMP packets. The ICMP packets provides information about whether the routers used in the transmission are able to effectively transfer the data. What is traceroute used for? Traceroute also enables you to locate where the data was unable to be sent along, known as points of failure. You can also perform visual traceroute to get visual representation of each hop. How to read a traceroute report? Before reading the report, this is Kali Linux. I will discuss about Kali Linux in my future classes in detailed manner. Time being, just understand this is command prompt of Kali Linux, where what we typed here, traceroute www.google.com. In which case, what will you get? If I type this one, I will get this particular information. Now we will try to understand how to read the traceroute. How to read? Let me write how to read a traceroute. A traceroute report. This is traceroute report. We will try to understand this traceroute report. What does it mean? We will try to understand hops and RTT. RTT means what? Round trip times. That is basically people used to call it as RTT, round trip times. The traceroute report, this is traceroute report, isn't it? The traceroute report lists data pertaining to every router the packets passes through as they head to the destination. The hops gets numbered on the left side of the report window. This is number hop 1, hop 2, hop 3. How many hops are there? There are 30 hops, isn't it? That's what it says. Anyway, we will try to understand what is the hop. What is the meaning of hop? What does it mean? Hop means, I can say, the journey. I can say the journey. It is a journey. The journey from one computer to another is known as I can say is known as hop, isn't it? The amount of time it takes to make a hop is measured in milliseconds. That amount of time, the amount of time it takes to make a hop is measured in milliseconds. The information that travels along the traceroute is known as packet. What is this packet? What does it mean? This is, I can say, the information. This is the information that travels along the traceroute is known as packet, isn't it? Now we will try to understand this particular report. What is this report? The hops get numbered on the left side. That's what I'm saying. Hop 1, hop 2. How many hops are there? Hop number 1 to the hop number 30. The hops are get numbered on left side of the report window. Each line in the report as the domain name. Just here I have domain name. I can say IP address. What is this? 10.0.2.2. That is IP address. Anyway, we will try to understand this before understanding Traceroute. Let me differentiate this. What is the difference between Traceroute and ping? We have also ping, isn't it? What is the difference? What is the difference between Traceroute and ping? The primary difference between ping and Traceroute is that while ping simply tells if server is reachable. If server is reachable and the time it takes to transmit and receive data. Time it takes to transmit and receive data. This is about what? This is about ping. What about my Traceroute? What does it mean? The Traceroute. What is the intention of this Traceroute? Let me repeat it. The Traceroute details the precise route information. It details precise route information. Router by router. This will give information router by router, isn't it? As well as the time it took, for each hop. Time it took for each hop. I request all of you, just try to study the difference between ping and Traceroute, as it is very, very important. Now we will go back and we will try to understand this Traceroute. There are also 3 measurements of time. Just see, this is 0.143 milliseconds, 0.086 milliseconds, 0.107 milliseconds, isn't it? There are also 3 measurements of time. First measurement, second measurement, third measurement. The 3 measurements of time display in milliseconds. MS means what? It is milliseconds, isn't it? This tells you length of time. This tells length of time to send the ICMP packets, from your computer to that router and back, isn't it? What does it mean? Traceroute, and even there is something like before continuing discussion on Traceroute, let me differentiate these 2 terms. First term is Traceroute and another term is Traceset. There is something like Traceset. Are the Traceroute and Traceset the same? Traceroute and Traceset accomplish the same general information. They will give same general information. The only significant difference is that the command Traceroute on Mac. This you can make use on Mac and Linux. Of course, this is Kali Linux terminal. You can make use on Mac and Linux systems. And what about Traceset? What is the meaning of Traceset? It is used on Windows systems, Windows operating system, isn't it? Here I can say this first one is, as I told you, just this one is, what is this? Hop number. That first column indicate hop number 1, hop number 2. till you have hop number 13. The first column and is simply the number of the hop along the route. In this case, it is how many hops are there? There are 30 hops. What is this RTT columns? What does it mean? These are the RTT columns: 0.143, 0.086, 0.107. The next three columns display RTT. What is the meaning of RTT? Round trip time. This indicate round trip time for your packet to reach the point and return to your computer. This is listed in milliseconds. There are three columns because the traceroute sends. Why you are getting three columns like this? Because what is the reason behind three columns? Just see, this is first column, second column, third column. Why we have these three columns? What is the meaning of these three columns? What does it mean? There are three columns because traceroute sends. Traceroute sends. Traceroute sends three separate signal packets. Sends three separate signal packets. Isn't it? This is to display the consistency, isn't it? There is something like IP address also, 10.0.2.2. You can see that IP address, isn't it? I can say that times listed in the RTT columns are the main thing you want to look at when evaluating a traceroute. Consider consistent times are what you are looking for, isn't it? This is something like asterisk. What is the asterisk RTT? If an asterisk appears for RTT, this is RTT, isn't it? If asterisk appears for RTT. Let me say RTT. How many RTT columns? 0.143 first, 0.086, 0. If asterisk means star. Asterisk means what? If star appears for RTT, then what does it mean? What's the meaning? Then packet was not returned. Packet was not written. Packet was not written within the expected time frame. Within the expected time frame. That one must understand, isn't it? In similar manner, I can say here it says 0.143 millisecond, 0.086 millisecond, 0.107 milliseconds. If you say something like times times, let me say like this, times over 150 milliseconds may be normal if the signal crosses, may be normal if the signal crosses an ocean, isn't it? But issues may show up with issues may show up with very large numbers. This is about our RTT column, isn't it? Now we will try to understand what about this. If I want to know what does this 3 stars means, if I want to know what does triple star, this triple star means, what is the meaning? Means, and does the result mean there are really more than 30 hops? Just see, there are really more than 30 hops. More than 30 hops between my host and target server. And target server. That one must realize, isn't it? We can conclude that we got response only up to 10.0.2.2. Afterwards, the nodes are not responding to the ICMP packets. Just observe this one. Just try to explore this traceroute and try to compare this traceroute with ping. This traceroute is one of the important command in ethical hacking. Thank you very much.